Hi friends, my name is Maruti and I'm the co-founder of Cracku. In this video, we are giving the video solutions for LRDI section of slot 1 of CAT 2025. Please pause the video at the start and try to solve the LRDI set on your own. If you're not able to solve it, you can look at the video solution. If you have doubts in any one of the LRDI sets, please feel free to comment below this video. I look at all the comments and I'll try to respond to them to the best of my ability. In addition to this video, definitely do check out the LRDI playlist where we give you a list of very important LRDI videos that we have made, which will help you quite a lot. The link for the playlist is given in the description of this video. Definitely do check it out. In this question, we are told that there are 7 chairs which are around a round table, and there are 4 friends. Let us call them A, B, C, and D. They are sitting on the 4 chairs. In the starting position, A and C were sitting next to each other, and B as well as D had empty chairs on both sides of the chairs. This is what is given. And there is something called turns. After every turn, one friend goes either in clockwise direction or in anti-clockwise direction to find an empty chair, and immediately after finding an empty chair, he sits there. The first turn was taken by A, second, third and fourth turns are taken by B, C and D respectively. And again A takes the 5th turn, B and C take the 6th and the 7th turn. This is the information that is given. Let us draw a circle first. Let us assume that this is the circle. We have 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, this is 6 and this is 7. These are the 7 chairs around the circle. Now the 4 friends occupy adjacent chairs after turn 2 and turn 6. Davis occupies chair 2 after turn 1. Who moves in turn 1? In turn 1, only Aslam moves. Nobody else moves. So Davis, if he is occupying chair 2 after turn 1, even before turn 1, this is at the start, Davis would be over here. Let me just write it as D for the sake of brevity. And we are told that Davis occupies chair 4 after turn 5. So after turn 5, D comes over here. And Chavi occupies chair 7 after turn 2. Turn 1, Aslam moves. Turn 2, B moves. Bashir moves. So Chavi doesn't move either in turn 1 or turn 2. So this would imply that Chavi was sitting in chair 7 at the start. What do we know about D? Both the chairs which are next to D were empty. So this is empty. Empty chairs, let me denote by X, and even 3 is X. This also is empty. I also know that A is sitting beside C. Therefore, A has to sit in seat number 6. Now 4 and 5, one of these 2 chairs, Bashir is sitting. But I do know that on both sides of Bashir, the chair is empty. So Bashir is not sitting at 5. This has to be empty. And this is where B is sitting. Chair 4 is where B started. Chair 4 is where D comes after some turns. I think it is turn number 5. This is where Davis comes. This is at the start. Now who turns after turn 1? This is after turn 1. Let me draw a circle. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. In the first turn, only A moves. B, C and D stay at the same place. Therefore, B will be over here. C will be over here. And D will be over here. This is where A was at the start. And A moves either over here to seat number 1 or he goes over here to seat number 5. One of these 2 places A will go. But we know that at the end of turn 2, all of them are sitting adjacent to each other. Now turn 1 A moves, turn 2 B moves. C and D don't move after the first and the second turn. So if after turn 2 all of them are sitting together, at the end of turn 2 also C will be sitting here, D will be sitting here, because they haven't gotten their turn yet. And if all of them are sitting together, the only possibility is that A cannot come over here, because in that case they will not be sitting next to each other. So A has to definitely come over here, and these will be the empty chairs. This will be empty, this will be empty, and this will be empty. What about turn 2? This is after turn 2. Let me again draw a circle. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. In turn 2, the only person who moves is B. C, A and D will sit next to each other. They will not change after turn 2. So this will be C, this will be A, this will be D. B moves. B can either come over here or over here. But the clue that we have is that after turn 2, all of them are sitting next to each other. So that would imply that B has come over here and these chairs are empty after turn 2. What will happen after turn 3? This will be where we are writing turn 3. Let me draw a circle. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. In turn 3, only C is moving. A, B, and D are not moving in turn 3. So they will stay where they are. This will be A, this will be D, and this will be B. This was where C was at the start. So C will either move over here or over here. If he is moving in clockwise direction, if she is moving in clockwise direction, she will come over here. If she is moving in anti-clockwise direction, she will come over here. But what we do know is, in turn 4, Davis moves. And Davis moves to chair 4 after turn 5. So whenever Davis gets his turn, he will move to chair 4. So that is where Chavi cannot sit. So C has to go over here after the third turn, and these 3 will be the empty chairs. What about turn 4? Turn 4 is where Davis moves, and like we know earlier, Davis will move to chair number 4. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. A will be here, C will be here, B will be here, and this will be D. We know this because it is given that after turn 5, Davis will be at chair 4. Now Davis moves in turn 4. In turn 5, he doesn't move. So wherever he is after turn 5, he will be at the same place after turn 4 as well. So that is where Davis will be. Now let us look at turn 5. Who moves in turn 5? In turn 5, A will move. So let me draw that circle again. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. B, C, and D don't move in this turn. So they will stay where they are. So this will be where C is, this will be where D is, and this will be where B is. A was over here. From here, he has two possibilities. He can either go over here or over here. One of these two places A is going to go. But we do know again that all the friends sit together after turn 6. This is turn 5. In turn 6, B will move. C and D will not move. So if you are writing where turn 6, where these guys will be, if you are drawing a circle, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. C and D will not move in turn 6 as well. So this will be where C is, and this will be where D is. Now if all 4 of them are sitting together, A cannot sit over there, because if A is sitting in this particular place, that is not adjacent to either C or D. So the group will not be sitting together. So this would imply that A has to sit over here, and this is empty, this is empty, and this is empty. And now in turn 6, like we discussed, B will move. This is where A is. B will move from here to here. This will be B. This is empty, this is empty, and this is empty. So now we have the positions after all the 6 turns. Let us go ahead and answer the questions that follow. What is the number of the chair initially occupied by Bashir? Bashir was initially occupying chair number 4. Who sits on the chair numbered 4 at the end of turn 3? This is turn 1, this is turn 2, and this is turn 3. This is the chair number 4. Nobody is sitting there. So the correct answer is no one. Which of the chairs was occupied at the end of turn 6? This is turn 6. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So chairs number 4, 5, 6, 7 were occupied, which is option A. Which of the following best describes the friend sitting on chairs adjacent to the one occupied by Bashir at the end of turn 7? Who is moving after turn 7? Turn 1 is A, 2 is B, 3 is C, 4 is D, 5 is A, 6 is B. In turn 7, C will be moving. And if you are looking at the position after turn 6, this is the position, this is empty, this is empty, this is empty, this is 4, this is 5, this is 6 and this is 7. This is D, this is B, this is C and this is A. This is after turn 6. In turn 7, C is moving. From here, C will move either over here, if he is moving in clockwise direction, or if he is moving in anti-clockwise direction, he will move here. This is where C is going to move. So the person who is going to sit beside Bashir will be only D, because this will become an empty chair. C will move from here, it will become empty. So the only person who is sitting beside Bashir will be Davis, which is option B.
DILR feels unpredictable. It's not luck, it's a smart set selection. Many fear DILR, but how does CAT actually frames the paper? There are definitely solvable sets when you learn to navigate and pick sets from your comfort zone. And for set selection strategy, PYQs are your best resource. We team Cracku have compiled CAT DILR questions all at one place. Just Google CAT DILR questions to practice, analyze, watch video solution and download PDFs.
In this question, we are told that there are 6 employees: Asha, Bunty, Chintu, Dolly, Eklavya and Falguni. Let us call them A, B, C, D, E and F. They were split into 2 groups. Each group has 3 members. One of them is the elite group. The manager of the elite group is Cuckoo. And the other one is the Novice group, Novice. And it is led by Lalu. Now, after every quarter, each of these guys gets a rating from 1 to 3. And from the elite group, whoever is the lowest is demoted to the Novice group. And from the Novice group, whoever has performed very well is promoted to the elite group. And we are given some information. Based on it, we are required to calculate who got what rating in which quarter. So let us first draw like a small table over here. This is elite and this is Novice. Who is the manager of elite? The manager of elite is Cuckoo. And who is the manager of Novice? It is Lalu. Okay. And we are given some information. Asha, Buntu and Chintu were in elite at the beginning of quarter 1. So in quarter 1, we have Asha, Bunty and Chintu. All of them are in elite group. So who is part of the Novice group? It will be in quarter 1, D, E and F. Then something happened in quarter 1. At the end of quarter 1, one of the guys from elite goes to Novice. He is demoted. Whoever performed the worst amongst these 3 goes to Novice group. And whoever performed very well in that group comes to elite group. Then we get Q3. The same thing happens. One of these guys is demoted to here. And one of these guys is promoted here. And then we have Q4. Now with respect to Q4, we are again told that all of them were in Novice at the beginning of Q4. So at the beginning of Q4, we have A, B, C over here. This would imply that D, E and F are over here. Now one thing to note is, amongst A, B, C, one of them is demoted after Q1. The second one is demoted after Q2. And the third one is demoted after Q3. So one keeps on going after every quarter. Similarly with Novice, one of D, E, F is promoted after Q1. The second one is promoted after Q2 and the third one is promoted after Q3. Who is promoted when is what we are required to calculate. Now we are also told that Dolly and Falguni were the only ones who got the same rating across all the quarters. Now, Dolly and Falguni either they got 111 or 222 or 333. They got the same rating in each of the 4 quarters. The following is known about the ratings given by Lalu. So, amongst the ratings given by Lalu, who is the manager of Novice, we are told that Bunty received a rating of 1 in Q2. So, in Q2, one thing we know is Bunty received a rating of 1 by Lalu. What does this mean? This means that amongst A, B, C, the person who was demoted after Q1 has to be Bunty. Therefore, A and C are still in the elite group for Q2. Another thing we can say is that Bunty got the least marks in Q1. That was why she was demoted. So it would mean that Bunty got a rating of 1. Because if anybody else got a rating of 1, they would have been demoted. But because Bunty is demoted, we can infer that Bunty got a rating of 1 in Q1. Bunty got a rating of 1 in Q2 as well. Asha and Dolly received ratings of 1 and 2 respectively in Q3. Asha and Dolly. Asha got a rating of 1, Dolly got a rating of 2 in Q2. Now, one thing we can infer is Bunty would still be in the Novice team because Bunty got a rating of 1 in the second quarter. So, there is no way she was actually going to be promoted to the elite group. So, even in Q3, she would have been here. And this would imply that she got a rating of 3 over here. This is the first thing we can infer. The second thing we can infer is that Dolly got a rating of 2 in the third quarter. Remember that Dolly and Falguni, they always got the same rating in all the quarters. So, Dolly's rating in the first quarter is 2. In the fourth quarter is also 2. She always got a rating of 2. So, Dolly got a rating of 2 in the first quarter. She did not get a rating of 3. So, Dolly is not the one who was promoted to elite after the first quarter. So, Dolly would have remained in Novice and she would have again gotten a rating of 2. What about Falguni? Falguni also got the same rating. That rating cannot be 2 because Dolly got a rating of 2. So, Falguni's rating has to be either 1 or 3. That is, Falguni got a rating of 1 in each of the 4 quarters or Falguni got a rating of 3 in each of the 4 quarters. Now, Falguni cannot get a rating of 1 in each of the 3 quarters because then she would never be promoted. If she was always performing at the bottom of her batch, there is no way she would be promoted to elite. At some point, she has to be at the top of the Novice batch. So, that would imply that Falguni got a rating of 3 in each of the 3 quarters. That is, especially in the first quarter, she got a rating of 3 and she was promoted to elite. Again, she got a rating of 3. So, she would remain in the elite camp in each of the 3 quarters. This is how it would have been. This would also imply that in Q2, who is the only one who is left over here? That has to be E. And because 1 and 2 are given to Bunty and Dolly, E has to get a rating of 3. Who are the 2 elite in Q3? A, B, D and F are done. The only 2 remaining are C and E. So, one thing is clear. We have figured out at the end of each quarter who is part of the elite team. We have figured out. Who is part of the Novice team? We have figured out. The only thing that is remaining is we have to figure out what is the score of each of these guys at the end of the quarter and how much did they score in each of the quarters. For example, if you are looking at the total scores by all of them, for Bunty at the end of the first quarter it is 1. At the end of the second quarter, let me write his total score over here. It would be 2. Bunty scored 3 in the third quarter, so his total would be 5. Similarly, for Dolly, at the end of the first quarter it is 2, at the end of the second quarter it is 4, at the end of the third quarter it is 6, at the end of the fourth quarter it is 8. Similarly, for Falguni, at the end of the second quarter it is 6, at the end of the third quarter the total score is 9, at the end of the fourth quarter it is equal to 12. Now, if you are looking to figure out what is the score of A and C, E for example would have scored 1 at the end of the first quarter because 2 and 3 are already taken up. E scored 3 in the second quarter, so his total would be 4. Now, we have to figure out how much the other people have scored. For example, if you are looking at the scores of A and C in the first quarter, A and C would have scored either 2 or 3 in the first quarter. Similarly, in the second quarter, A and C have to score 1 or 2. Now what happened at the end of the second quarter? At the end of the second quarter, A was demoted to Novice. So at the end of the second quarter, A scored less or equal, but basically he was demoted. That is what we can infer. We can't say that he scored less, both of them can score the same, but on tiebreaker, maybe he was demoted. One thing we are certain is that A was demoted. Now in the first round, A and C scored 2 and 3 in some order. In the second round, A and C scored 1 and 2 in some order. So how do you figure out who scored how much in each of the 2 quarters? So basically there will be 4 cases. In the first case, A scored 2, C scored 3 in the first quarter, and A scored 1 and C scored 2. In the second case, A and C, A scored 2 and C scored 3, but in the second quarter, A scored 2 and C scored 1. In the third case, in A and C, A scored 3, C scored 2 in the first quarter, and it is 1 and 2 in the second quarter. And in the last case, we have A and C, A scored 3, C scored 2, and in the second quarter, A scored 2 and C scored 1. If it is the fourth quarter, what is the total score of A? It is 5. What is the total score of C? It is 3. In this case, who would have been demoted? C would have been demoted because his score is lesser. So this case doesn't exist. In the third case, what is the total score? The total score of A is 4. Total score of C is 4. Who would have been demoted? A would have been demoted. Even though both of them scored the same, because A scored lesser in the latest quarter, A would have been demoted. So this case is fine. Case 2, both of them would have scored again 4, but this time C scored lesser in the latest quarter. So in this case, C would have been demoted. So this case also is not correct. What we know for certain is that A was demoted. Finally, in the first case, A would have scored 3 and C would have scored 5. So again, A would have been demoted. So this case also is fine. So it is either case 1 or it is case 3. In both of them, in the second quarter, the scores of A and C are 1 and 2 respectively. That is, A has to score 1 and C has to score 2 in the second quarter. In the first quarter, we can't say for certain. In the first quarter, A can score 2 or 3. Similarly, C can score 2 or 3. Therefore, the total score of A at the end of the second quarter will be either 3 or 4. Similarly, the total score of C at the end of the second quarter is either 4 or 5. And A is demoted to the Novice group. And in the Novice group, A scored 1 in the third quarter. So his total score at the end of the third quarter is either 4 or 5. What about C and E? In the third quarter, at the end of the third quarter, C was demoted. After Q3, we know that C was demoted. And E remained in elite group. Now, after Q2, what is the scores of C and E? After Q2, C scored either 4 or 5. And E scored a total of 4. In Q3, C and D scored 1 and 2 in some order. At the end of Q2, C scored either 4 or 5. If C scored 2 in the third quarter, he would not be demoted. E would have been demoted back. But that didn't happen. C was demoted to Novice. The only way this is possible, because if you are looking at the scores of C and D at the end of quarter 2, C scored either 4 or 5. E has definitely scored 4. So if E underperformed C in the third quarter, he would have been demoted. That didn't happen. So C scored 1 and E scored 2. So the total score of E would be 4 plus 2, which is 6 at the end of the third quarter. The total score of C would be 4 or 5. This is the best that we can do. Let us go ahead and answer the questions that follow. What was the total score of Eklavya at the end of quarter 2? at the end of quarter 2, the total score of Eklavya is 4. How many employees change groups more than once at the beginning of quarter 4? Nobody changed their groups more than once. What we know is that A, B, C were in elites group at the start. At the end of each quarter, one of them went to Novice. Similarly, D, E, F was in Novice at the start of the first quarter. At the end of each of the quarter, each one of them came to elite. But nobody went to elite and came back to Novice, or the other way around. So that would be 0. What is Bunty's score at the end of Q3? Bunty's score at the end of Q3 is 5. For how many employees can the scores at the end of quarter 3 be determined with certainty? The employees for whom we can determine their scores at the end of Q3 is E, F, D and B. For 4 of them we can determine with certainty. For A and C we can't determine with certainty. So the correct answer will be 4. Which of the following statements is or are necessarily true? Asha received a rating of 2 in Q1. Now Asha received a rating of either 2 or 3. So we can't say this for certainty. This is not necessarily true. This can be true, this can be false. So this is not necessarily true. Asha received a rating of 1 in Q2. Now if you're looking at Asha, Asha definitely received a rating of 1 in Q2. So this is definitely true. So the correct answer is only 2, which is option D.
Want to know how 100 percentile approaches the CAT exam? Now you can. Cracku is giving away 3 full-length mocks designed by 5x 100 percentiler Maruti Sir himself to mirror the actual test. After you finish, just don't look at your scores. Dive into our detailed video solution for every question to learn the expert strategy. Plus, get a deep performance analysis to pinpoint your exact weaknesses. Get your free mock right now. Go to Google and search Cracku CAT free mock.
In this question, we are given one spider web. This denotes the import tariffs that every country imposed on the other countries. And this bar chart tells us what is the total import tariff that is collected by each of the countries with respect to the other countries. For example, if you are looking at the import tariff that any country is collecting, this will be basically the tariff percentage that is imposed into the total imports. Now let us look at the first question, then it will become clearer for you. If you're looking at the first question, how much is Japan's exports to India worth? So we are looking for Japan's exports to India. But all the information that is given is basically about imports. So instead of calculating Japan's exports to India, what we will calculate is India's imports from Japan. Now we are not given the imports of India, but what we are given is the total import tariff that India collected. We are also given the tariff percentage that India has imposed on Japan. So the total imports of India from Japan will be import tariff divided by the tariff percentage. If you are looking at it for India, what is the total import tariff that India has imposed? This is India, the color of Japan is yellow, so it will be this one. This is 3.5. So it will be 3.5 is the total import tariff divided by the, what is the total tariff percentage? India's color is green, on Japan will be over here. This is 50%. So this will be 0.5. So the total imports of India from Japan will be $7 billion, which will be option C. Let us try to solve the second question. Which among the following is the highest? Okay, we are given 4 options. The first option is Again, let us look at imports and not exports. Exports by Japan to UK is basically UK imports from Japan. What is the second option? The second option is imports by US from France. So US imports from France. What is the third option? Exports by France to Japan. Again, we are looking for imports. So this will be imports by Japan from France. And what is the last option? The last option is imports by France from India. We are looking for which of these four is the highest. Again, we'll do the same thing. We'll calculate the import tariff of each of these four options, divide it by the tariff percentage to get the total imports. UK imports from Japan. What is this is UK, this is Japan is yellow, it will be this, which is 6. And what is the tariff percentage that UK imposed on Japan? UK's color is black. In Japan, it will be this one, which will be 40%. So 6 divided by 0.4 is 15. So option A is 15 billion. What is option B? The total imports of US from France. Now this is US and the color of France is red. It will be this one. So it will be 6 divided by what is the tariff percentage that US imposed on France? The color of US is blue and this is France. So this will be 6 divided by 0.2. This will be 30. So option B is 30. What about option C? The total imports of Japan from France. What is the import tariff imposed by Japan? This is over here. Color of France is red, so it will be this one. This will be 3. And what is the tariff percentage? Where is Japan? Japan is yellow on France. It will be this one. That is 40. This is 30, 0.3. So option C is 10. What about option D? This is France importing from India. This is the table of the import tariff charged by France. India's color is green. So we are talking about this one. This is 6.5. And what is the tariff percentage of France on India? France color is red. It is this one. This is 10, 20, 30 and 40%. So this is 6.5 divided by 0.4, which will be 6.5 into 2.5. You can use your calculator. It will be approximately, I think, 16, maybe 16.25. That doesn't matter. The highest is option B. So the correct answer for this question, which among the following is highest, is imports by US from France. What is the trade surplus or deficit of India from UK? So let us calculate basically UK imports from India. Let us also calculate India imports from UK. We will calculate both of them. The first one is basically India's exports. That will give us an idea of the trade deficit. What is the total amount UK imports from India? For that, we will calculate the import tariff imposed by UK. This is UK. India is green. So this number, this will be 3 divided by what is the tariff percentage imposed by UK on India. UK is black. This is India, this one. This is 10, 20 and 30. So this is 3 divided by 0.3, which is equal to $10 billion. So the total amount that UK imports from India is $10 billion. That will be basically India's exports to UK. For India's imports from UK, again let us calculate the import tariff by India. This is India, UK is black. We are looking at this one, which is 5. This is the total import tariff that we collected. And what is the tariff imposed by India on UK? India is green. This is UK. It will be over here. This is 20%. So this is 0.2. This is 25 billion. So India is exporting 10 billion. India is importing 25 billion. So we have a trade deficit of 15 billion, which will be option B. Let us look at the last one. Among France and UK, who has trade surplus or deficit surpluses with US? Okay. Let us look at France. France import from US. And the other one is US import from France. What is the total amount France imported from US? Let us look at the import tariff. This is France, US is blue. So we are looking at 5.5. So they charged 5.5 and you divide it by what is the tariff that France imposed on USA. France is red, this is USA, this is over here. So it is 5.5 divided by 0.3, which is equal to 55 by 3, which is approximately 18.33 billion. This is how much France imports from US. How much does US import from France? What is the import tariff that US charged on France? France is red. This is 6 divided by what is the import tariff of US imposed on France, the tariff percentage. US is blue. This is France. It will be this one, which is 0.2. This is 30 billion. So France is importing 18 billion, 18.33. US is importing 30 billion. So France is exporting much more than it is importing, because this is France's exports. Whatever US is importing is basically something that France has exported. The exports are greater than the imports. So here France is definitely having a surplus. Let us look at UK. We'll do the same thing again for UK. We'll look at UK import from US and US imports from UK. This second one will be the total amount that UK has exported. Export minus import is the surplus. What did UK import from US? What is the import tariff that UK has applied? This is UK. US is blue, so it will be this one. This is 2.5. And what is the import tariff charged by UK on US? UK is black. This is over here, 20%. Comes to equal $12.5 billion. Let us do the same for US imports from UK. What is the total import tariff US applied? UK is black. It will be this one, which is 3. And what is the tariff percentage that US imposed on UK? US is blue. This is UK, which will be over here. This is 10, 20 and 30. This is equal to 10 billion. So UK's exports is 10 billion. UK's imports is 12.5 billion. UK is exporting only 10 billion and UK is importing 12.5 billion. So it has a trade deficit. So this has a deficit. So amongst these two, the only country which has a surplus will be France, which is option D.
To crack CAT with confidence, you need a lot of practice and a lot of testing. And the questions that matter the most are the questions that have come in CAT previous year's paper. Each of these CAT previous year's paper you can attempt on Cracku. You can download it as a PDF or you can actually take it in the mock format. Not only that, but each of these questions has a detailed written solution as well as a video solution. You can take these in the mock format and later you can analyze your strengths and weaknesses. You can pinpoint the areas you need to improve it. So see how real CAT questions are asked, learn from the detailed solutions, so build speed, accuracy and confidence. So visit Cracku today and start solving our previous year's CAT papers.
In this question, we are told that there is a train which is traveling from station A to station E. That is, it is passing through 3 stations B, C and D. The train has a capacity of 200 and a ticket can be booked from any station to any station. So let us try to figure out how it actually looks. There are 5 stations. We have A, B, C, D and E. Now out of these 5 stations, tickets can be booked in how many ways? In 5C2, that is 10 ways. What do I mean by it? Either a ticket can be booked from A to B, or from A to C, or from A to D, or from A to E. Similarly, it can be booked from B to C, or from B to D, or from B to E. Or it can be booked from C to D, or C to E, or from D to E. These are all the possibilities with respect to the 2 stations in which a ticket can be booked from. We are also told that the segments CD has an occupancy factor of 95%. If you are looking at segments, immediate segments, there are only 4 immediate segments. What are the 4 immediate segments? They are either A to B or B to C. Immediate segments is when the stations are just one apart from each other, or from D to E. Now C to D has a occupancy rate of 95%. The total maximum seating capacity is 200. Therefore, the number of people who are traveling in this particular segment is 190. Only segment BC has a higher occupancy factor. So the occupancy factor of BC will be 200. Why is it 200? Why cannot it be say 191 or 192? Because the last clue says that the number of tickets booked for any segment is a multiple of 10. So if the number of people who are traveling is greater than 190, it has to be equal to 200. Now exactly 40 tickets were booked from B to C. So from B to C exactly 40 were booked. And 30 tickets were booked from B to E. From B to E, exactly 30 tickets were booked. Among the seats reserved on the segment DE, exactly 4 sevens were booked from stations before C. What does this mean? Suppose I'll write it down over here. Let us assume that there are people who are traveling from D to E. Now, how can they book their tickets? Either they can book their tickets from A to E, or they can book their tickets from B to E, or they can book their tickets from C to E, or they can book their tickets from D to E. All of these guys will be traveling through the segment D to E. What we are told is, people who book their tickets before station C, this is 4 sevenths of the total people who are traveling from D to E. So let us assume that the number of people who are traveling from D to E is 7x. Therefore, the number of people who book their tickets from A to E plus B to E will be 4 sevenths of it, which is 4x. And people who are traveling from CE plus DE, this will be equal to 3x. The number of tickets booked from A to C, that is over here, this one, is equal to the number of tickets booked from A to E. This is equal to this, okay, both of them are the same, and that is higher than B to E, and that is higher than B to E, which is actually equal to 30. No tickets were booked from A to B, so A to B this is 0, B to D this also is 0, and from D to E this also is 0. If D to E is 0, this will be equal to 0. Therefore, CE will be equal to 3x. So this over here is equal to 3x. Similarly, if you are looking at it, AE plus BE is equal to 4x. But we know the value of BE. BE is equal to 30. So AE will be equal to 4x minus 30. So AE over here, this has to equal 4x minus 30. This also has to equal 4x minus 30 because AC is equal to AE. AC is equal to AE and this is greater than BE. So 4x minus 30, which is AC and AE, is greater than BE, which is again equal to 30. Or 4x is greater than 60. So the value of x is greater than 15. Now, what is the total number of people who traveled in the immediate segment DE? This is equal to 7x. What we know is that x is greater than 15. And all of these are multiples of 10. So the smallest value x can take is 20. It can be either 20 or 30 or 40 or so on. But one thing you have to remember is the number of people who traveled from the segment D to E, the immediate segment D to E, is 7x. That is what we assumed. So that has to be definitely less than or equal to 200. And x has to be a multiple of 10. If x is 30, 7x will be 210. If x is 40, 7x will be 280 and so on. All of them are greater than 200. So the only possibility is that x has to equal 20. Therefore, the total number of people who traveled from D to E, this has to be 140, which is 7x. AC will be equal to 4 into 20 minus 30, which will be 50, which is the value of AE. This also is 50. And the value of CE will be equal to 3x, which is equal to 60. Now, if you notice, we filled everything except AD and CD. How can we actually fill AD and CD? We can do that because we know the number of people who traveled in the segment BC. This is 200. We know the number of people who traveled in the segment CD. This is 190. If you are looking at the segment BC, this is A, B, C, D and E. If somebody is traveling in the immediate segment BC, they have to book a ticket from either A to C or A to D or A to E, or they have to book a ticket from B to C or B to D or B to E. These are the only possibilities. Anybody who books a ticket from C to D, for example, will not travel through BC. Anybody who books a ticket from D to E will not travel through BC. This would tell us that, and this has to equal 200. So 200 is equal to what is AC? AC is 50. What is AD? We don't know the value of AD. What is AE? AE is again 50. What is BC? BC is 40. What is BD? 0. What is BE? It is 30. From this equation, 50 plus 50 is 100, 140, 170. So the value of AD is equal to 30. So this is equal to 30. Similarly, if you are trying to calculate how many people booked CD, we know that people who traveled in the immediate segment CD is 190. And if you are looking at this block CD, who are the people who will travel through CD? To travel through CD, you have to go from A to D or A to E. Or you have to go from B to D or B to E. BD, BE. Or you have to go from CD or CE. Now the immediate segment CD is traveled by, like we know, 190 people. So this 190 has to equal AD is 30 plus what is AE is 50 plus what is BD is 0 plus what is BE, BE will be 30, CD We don't know the value of CD. And what is CE? This CE that we want. CE is equal to 60 over here. 30 plus 50 is 80 plus 30 is 110 plus 60 is 170. So the value of CD is 190 minus 170, which is equal to 20. So this CD will be equal to 20. Now that we got all the numbers, let us just go ahead and answer the questions that follow. What is the occupancy of the segment DE? The segment DE, the number of people who traveled is 140. The total seating capacity is 200. So that would be 70%. How many tickets were booked from station A to station E? AE is 50. How many tickets were booked from station C? From C to D is 20, from C to E is 60. So the sum of both of them is 80. What is the difference between the number of tickets booked to station C? Booked to station C will be AC plus BC. And booked to station D will be AD plus BD plus CD. What is the difference between these two? AC is 50, BC is 40. So the sum of both of them is 90. AD is 30, BD is 0, so 30, and CD is 20. So the sum of all three of them is 50, which is 30 plus 0 plus 20. The difference between these two is 40. How many tickets were booked in exactly one segment? The number of people who booked in exactly one segment has to be AB plus BC plus CD plus DE. This is the sum that we have to make. DE is 0, so this is 0. Similarly, AB is 0, this also is 0. We need to calculate CD. CD is 20. And what is BC? BC is 40. So the total will be 20 plus 40, which is equal to 60. One of the things that I want to tell you is, in these last few days, in the run-up to CAT, solving a lot of questions will be very, very useful to you. So we have created a lot of PDFs which include useful questions. You can download those PDF. You have to just Google search Cracku Quant topic-wise questions and you will get the PDFs and try to solve them on your own. Once you solve the question or once you struggle to solve the question, the link for the video solution is given in the PDF itself. These PDFs have been downloaded thousands of times in the last few weeks. I'm sure they'll be very useful to you. Download these PDFs and try to solve them. Again, just you have to Google search Cracku Quant topic-wise questions to get the PDFs. In this question, we are told that there are 5 guys, Alia, Badal, Clive, Dilshan and Hassan. They have played a game where each one of them asks the questions to the others. If somebody replies yes, that tap would mean 1. If somebody replies no, that would be 2 taps. And so if somebody replies maybe, that is 3 taps. A total of 40 taps were heard for the 5 questions, and each question received at least 1 yes, no or maybe. So let us first draw a table. This will be A, this is B, this is C, this is D, and this is E. Similarly, these are the questions asked. This is basically questions answered. We are writing like this. And what are questions were asked, we will write over here as columns. This is the first question. This is asked by A. This is the second question, which is asked by B. This is the third question. This is asked by C. This is the fourth question. This is asked by D. And this is the fifth question. This is asked by E. And this is the total. And similarly, we'll put a total over here also. Now the person who asked the question is not answering it. So we can cancel this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. Now let us go through the clues. Alia tapped a total of 6 times. So the total number of times Alia tapped is 6 and received 9 taps per question. So Alia's total number of taps that Alia received is 9. She responded yes to the questions asked by both Clive and Dilshan. So she said yes to Clive and Dilshan. Dilshan and Hassan tapped a total of 11 and 9 times. So Dilshan and Hassan tapped a total of 11 and 9 times. Okay. Dilshan responded no to Badal. So Dilshan responded no to Badal. Now immediately when you're looking at 11 from 3 questions, the only possibility will be that 11 has to be 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 2. Because what can be the total number of taps that anybody can do? They're responding to 4 questions. The maximum number of taps for each question is 3. So the total can be at max 12. If it is already 11, the possibility is that there are 3 3s and 1 2. So this would imply that this has to be a 3, this has to be a 3 and this has to be a 3. We are told that Badal, Dilshan and Hassan received an equal number of taps for their respective questions. If they received an equal number of taps, Badal has to be X, Dilshan has to be X and Hassan has to be X. And what will the total number of taps received by Chirag be or Clive be? C, that has to be 31 minus 3x. Why is that the case? Because we know that the total number of taps is 40, of which Alia got 9 and we have 3x. So this guy C has to get 31 minus 3x because otherwise the total will not be equal to 40. Similarly, no one responded yes more than twice. So basically in any of these rows, there are a maximum of 2 ones. No one's answer to Alia's question matched the answer that Alia gave to that person's question. This is also true for Hassan. So if you can actually identify the answers that Alia gave, then we will have some idea about the answers that people gave to Alia. Because this row and this column, there is nothing which is matching. So probably we'll try to figure that out. For example, if you're looking at the answers given by Alia, we know that the total taps Alia made is 6, out of which there are 2 ones. So what is the possibility of the remaining 2? The 4 have to be either 1, 1, 1, 3, which will total up to 6, or 1, 1, 2, 2. Now we are told that every row has a maximum of 2 ones because we know that nobody gave 3 yeses. So this is not possible. So it would imply that Alia's row count of 6 comes from 2 ones and 2 twos. So this has to be 2 and this has to be 2. Now because Alia's answers were not matching with anybody who gave the same answers to her, what we can essentially imply from this is that because Alia said no to Badal, Badal also would not have said no to Alia. So that is not 2. Similarly, Alia said yes to Clive. So Clive would not have said yes to Alia. Finally, Alia said no to Hassan. So Hassan would not have said no to Alia. This is basically what we can infer. We'll still go into it. There is clearly something more that we can infer from it. But let me first go through all the clues, which is what I'll actually do in an exam also. This is also true for Hassan. But the problem with Hassan is we don't really know what are the answers that Hassan gave or what are the answers that Hassan received. These two are not, we are not 100% sure. So I'll just let it be for now. Clive tapped more times than Badal. What is the total number of times that Clive typed and Badal typed? Again, the total number of times that they answered has to match up to 40. We have 6 over here, 11 and 9. 6 plus 11 plus 9 adds up to 26. So the number of times Badal tapped and the number of times Clive tapped will add up to 14. And we know that Clive tapped more than Badal. The minimum number of times that Badal could have typed, the minimum number of times that Badal could have tapped is if he tapped 2 ones, which is the maximum that is allowed, and 2 twos, which is coming to 6. So the minimum that Badal can tap is 6. This would imply that Badal has to be at least 6, and if you are having B plus C to be equal to 14, the only possibility is that Badal is 6 and Clive is 8. Because we know that Badal is at least 6. If Badal becomes 7, Clive also will be 7 and both of them will be the same. So if Clive is greater than Badal, Clive plus Badal is 14, and if Badal is greater than 6, greater than or equal to 6, the only possibility is that Badal got 6 and Clive got 8. This is what we can infer by going through all the clues once. If you are going through all the clues, one other clue that we didn't particularly use was that each question received at least one yes, one no, and one maybe. That is, every question over here, that is every column over here has at least 1 1, 1 2, and 1 3. So if you are looking at it, there are a total of 4 columns. Each one of them has at least 1 1, 1 2, and 1 3, and the last one we don't know. The last one can be either 1 or 2 or 3. So overall, if you are looking at it, what we can immediately infer is the value of x. We have 2 2's already over here. So this would imply that in the case of the answers received for Badal's question, we have 2 2's. So this has to be 2, this has to be 2. There will be anyways 1 1 and 1 3. So the total is coming to equal 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 2, which is 8. So what we are essentially saying is that x has to be equal to 8. This also has to be equal to 8. This also has to be equal to, this also has to be equal to 8. Similarly, what is the value of 31 minus 3x? 31 minus 3x will therefore be equal to 7. Similarly, if you are looking at the answers received by Alia's question, the total is equal to 9. So what can we infer there? What we can infer there is that for Alia's question, you will have 1, 2, 3 and 3. Because the last one, 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6. The total number of taps received by Alia is 9. So the last one has to be 3. Similarly for Badal, because the total is 8, like we discussed, it will be 1, 2, 3 and there will be a 2. For Clive, it will be 1, 2, 3, which is adding up to 6. But because the total is 7, this will be a 1. For D, Dilshan, it is again 8 and same for Hassan. So it will be 1, 2, 3 and 2. For Hassan also it is 1, 2, 3 and 2. Now if you are looking at Alia's questions, the answers that were received for the question by Alia, we need to have 1, 2, 3 and another 3. The 2, this particular 2, which is the no that was received for Alia's question, cannot come over here. It cannot come over here. So it has to be this one. So this has to be 1 or 3. Similarly, this has to be 1 or 3. But now if you are looking at Badal's answers that Badal gave. Badal gave a total of 6 taps. That 6 taps have to come from 4 questions. So from the perspective of Badal, he will get a total of 6 either from 1, 1, 2, 2 or from 1, 1, 1, 3. These are the only 2 ways in which he can get a total of 6 steps. But we know that nobody gave more than 2 yes. That is, in no row can we have 3 ones. This would essentially imply that 6 has to be 1, 1, 2, 2. It cannot be a 3. So we can immediately infer over here that this has to be 1 and this has to be 3. Now that we filled a lot of the table, let us try to identify what are the missing values. If you are, for example, looking at the answers given to Hassan, the total number of taps has to be equal to 8. We identified 1, 2 and 1, 3. They are totaling up to 5. So the remaining 3 have to come from these 2 taps. So one of them has to be 1 and the other one has to be 2. Similarly, we know that the answers that were received by Hassan were not matching with the answers that Hassan has given. So for example, we know that this will not be equal to 3. Also, if you are trying to identify the answers that C's question, Clive's question has received, the total number of taps has to be equal to 7. We identified 1, 1 and 1, 3. So the remaining 2 have to be 1 and 2 in some order. This is 1 or 2, this also is 1 or 2. Now if you are trying to total up the answers given by Hassan, the total has to equal 9. One of them is a 3. So if you are looking at Hassan's answers, the total has to be 9, one of them is a 3. So the only possibility for Hassan's answers will be either it is 3, 2, 2, 2, that is all the remaining are 2's, or it is 3, 1, 2 and 3. These are the only two possibilities for the total to be 9 from the standpoint of the answers given by Hassan. You would immediately think that this cannot happen. Why can this not happen? Because at least one of these two, that is one of the two answers received by Hassan, that is the answers given by Badal or Clive, one of them is 1, one of them is 2. So it can't happen that this is 2, this is 2 and this is 2 because these two answers cannot match. So essentially we are saying that this case cannot exist. So the total number of taps that Hassan has given, which equals 9, has to come from 1, 3 and 1, 1, 2, 3. We have identified this one. So essentially what we are saying is that this and this in some order has to be 1, 2 and 3. Now this 3 especially cannot come over here because we wrote it. This cannot come over here because this is either 1 or 2. So it has to come over here. So this will be equal to 3. Now you can actually calculate the total. If you're looking at the second question that Badal has asked, it has to get a total of 8 taps. We identified 2, 2 and 3. So this has to be equal to 1. Now if you're looking at Clive's answers, he answered 1, 2 and 1, 1. That is adding up to 3. From the remaining 2, he has to get 5 because the overall number of taps that Clive has given is equal to 8. So this 2, this 1 is 3. This one and this one together has to be equal to 5. The only possibility therefore is that this is 3 and this has to be 2. This cannot be 1 because if this is 1, this has to be equal to 4. That is not possible. So this would imply that this will be equal to 1. And therefore, if you are looking at the answers given by B, that has to be 1, 1 and 2, 2. We have identified 2 ones. So the remaining 2 has to be equal to 2. So this is 2 and this is 2. Now you can identify that this is 1, 2, 3, that is totaling up to 6. The total number of taps for D's question is 8. So this has to equal 2. And therefore, because the total number of taps given by E is 9, this has to equal 1. There are multiple ways to solve it, but once the square is partially filled, filling it completely is not very difficult, and this is how it will look. Now let us go ahead and answer the questions that follow. How many taps did Clive receive for his question? The total number of taps that Clive received for his question is 7. Which two people tapped an equal number of times? The two people who tapped an equal number of times are Alia and Badal, which is option D. What was Clive's response to Hassan's question? Clive's response to Hassan's question is 2, which would imply that it is no. How many yes responses was received across all the questions? It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So the answer will be equal to 6.
Every serious cat aspirant needs a secret weapon for the revision. This is yours, the Cracku Cat Formula PDF. It is not just a list, it's comprehensive and topic-wise guide for every formula you'll ever need to know. We've built it to be only formula sheet you'll ever need for your preparation, and we're giving it away for free. Find it easily. Just go to Google and search Cracku Cat Formula PDF. Download it, master it and walk into the exam with confidence.